There we go. Welcome, everybody. Cannabis News. I am your host, Joe Klare. It's July 2nd, 2019. The show, as always, is presented by the Marijuana Times. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Find the video tab there to find this show. Also, a bunch of great articles, social media links, and more. All can be found at marijuanatimes.org. Today, we're talking about LGBTQ representation in the cannabis industry. Also, cannabis light in Italy, and more banks and credit unions are getting involved in the cannabis industry, which is a good thing. We'll talk about all of that coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Grow safe and poison-free. Be regulatory compliant in the state that you are growing in. Don't be putting harmful chemicals on things that people are going to be ingesting. That's just awful of you if you do that. Instead, go check out Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thank you to Natureside. They're awesome. This first story by Andrew Ward at Cannabis News, or on marijuanatimes.org, rather, here on Cannabis News. Do we talk about LGBTQ cannabis inclusion enough? Now, Andrew, in the article, talks about the intertwining of the gay rights community and the medical marijuana community, especially in California early on, and how that's something that should be celebrated. And absolutely, that's absolutely true. We should celebrate all of that. We should celebrate the allies that were with us, especially the ones that were with us long before it was something that was cool to be on board with. It was something that was trendy the way it is now to be behind. This is back in the days when gay rights and marijuana rights were, or marijuana consumer rights or marijuana user rights were low on the totem pole of priorities for most people. And the parallels of the two movements have continued throughout the decades. And the success of the gay rights community has kind of dovetailed with the success of the marijuana law reform community. And all that's great. That's fantastic. We should celebrate all of that. Then we get into the idea of equal representation. Is there equal representation in the cannabis community of LGBTQ members? Here's where you run into a problem. First of all, what does that mean? What is equal representation? Is it among workers, among owners, among board members? And when will we have achieved that? Do we have data that says, well, 13.8% of the adult population identifies as LGBTQ, so we're going to try to get 13.8% of the ownership of cannabis businesses in the marijuana industry to 13.8%. What if another set of data says it's more like 15.6%? How do we get it to there? And how do we coincide the two sets of data? And how do we track people in the community, whether or not they're LGBTQ? We're going to ask them? We're going to ask everybody, are you gay? What do you identify as? You need to fill out the census form so we know about representation in the cannabis community. Here's the problem, or rather, my thoughts on the problem. There's a huge difference between equal opportunity and equal outcomes. Equal outcomes are impossible. And the more you try to force equal outcomes, the more people that get hurt. Equal opportunity? Absolutely. I'm all for it. I've said many, many times, the barrier of entry into the cannabis industry should be as low as possible. The lowest amount of regulations, the lowest taxes, low licensing fees, as low as they can possibly be. Free. If I was in control and I was setting these prices or whatever, setting these barriers, there would be no barriers. Once federal legalization, once federal prohibition goes away, more banks and credit unions, which we'll talk about later, will be able to give loans to small business people who want to get in the cannabis industry. That will help facilitate more equal opportunity. People who have non-violent marijuana offenses, none of that should be a barrier to entry into the cannabis industry. In fact, I would even go so far as to say if you were convicted of cannabis growing and you have years and years of history of cannabis growing, it was something you were busted for, your expertise is going to be needed in the new industry. And I don't care if it ends up that 8% of the industry is LGBTQ, or 45%, or if 91% of the industry ends up being controlled by Asian dwarves. I don't care. What I care about is the most variety, the biggest possible variety of the highest quality cannabis products for the lowest possible price. That's it. I don't care who gives it to me. Anybody who can do that, they deserve my business. They deserve other people's business, no matter what they are. And obviously they shouldn't have to feel in any way ashamed for being who they are. We should be past all that crap. All that garbage. It's 2019. But we can't force a certain segment of an industry to be a certain thing. Maybe, what if 15% of adults identify as LGBTQ, and we've gotten all of the members of the community that could possibly want to be in the cannabis community, we've gotten them all in, and it's only still 11% representation. Are we going to start forcing gay people or bisexual people or transgender people to be in the cannabis community so we can get that 11% to 15%? Of course not. It's ridiculous. That's why you should be focused on outcomes. Opportunity. Everyone should have the same opportunity. And the only way you do that is tearing down these barriers. The high licensing fees, the regulations that have to be gotten into, and all the upfront costs and the expenses, the fact that you can't get small business loans. All of these things have to be remedied. The convictions, the criminal records that keep certain people out of the industry. All of these things need to be remedied. And the more they're remedied, the closer we'll get to equal opportunity. Will ever be perfect equal opportunity? Probably not. Even if there are no licensing fees, no taxes, no regulations, which is an impossibility. But there are. But we need to try to get as close as we can. And as far as how much we should, talk about inclusion of people, talk about as much as you want. I want everybody included. If you want to be in the cannabis industry and you have something to offer to the industry and to the goal of high quality products, a lot of variety, low prices, please come to the cannabis industry. Please. I will do everything I can to facilitate you doing that. The minuscule amount of influence I may have, I will devote to getting you into the industry. Please, come on. Everyone who wants to be in the cannabis industry, I want them in it. Remember what they identify as. I don't care what they identify as. I'm not going to ask. Why would I? What does it matter? I'm not going to walk into a dispensary and say, are you gay? Are you gay? You're going to sell me some weed? Are you gay? No. I'm going to say, what's the price of that weed? How good is it? How's it going to help me? And I buy it. And I know, in a lot of quarters that may be controversial, to not care if someone is a minority or LGBTQ and just buying from anybody who has the best quality product for the lowest possible price. I don't know. It's not controversial to me. Maybe it is to some people. And if it is, well, what am I going to do about that? And I know before I get the comments, I'm a white guy. Yes, I understand. That means I'm lowest on the totem pole when it comes to opinions. That's fine. So be it. If you don't value my opinion, fast forward, go somewhere else. I don't care. I offer my opinion because, well, that's what I do here. It's the platform. It's kind of the thing of the show. I offer my insight into these issues. This next story from ChicagoTribune.com. In Italy, cannabis light is booming, though the weed is so weak it's like decaf marijuana. First of all, it sounds awful. Second of all, it just sounds like CBD. Sounds like a long roundabout way of saying CBD. And it's been called the Italian Green Gold Rush. Mild, barely there marijuana dubbed Cannabis Light has put Italy on the international weed map, producing hundreds of stores that sell pot by the pouch, and attention from investors banking the legalization of stronger stuff will follow. The flourishing retail industry around Cannabis Light, weed so non-buzzy it's essentially the decaf coffee of marijuana. Surfaced. Sounds awful. I'm sorry. If you're in Italy and you love it, good for you. It sounds awful. Surfaced as an unintended byproduct of a law meant to restore Italy as a top producer in industrial hemp. Now storefronts that peddle chemically ineffective hemp flowers in varieties such as Chill Hoss and Black Buddha are getting blowback that some Italians fear will nip business in the bud. Italy's highest court clouded the climate 4 weeks ago by ruling it was illegal to market hemp-derived products that weren't in practice devoid of the power to provide a perceptible high. Sporadic testing and customer reviews suggested Cannabis Light outlets sold weed that week. The Law and Order Interior Minister nonetheless declared war on the shops with neon leaf logos last month, vowing to close them street by street, shop by shop, nationwide. I don't even know what to say about that. They're going to devote resources to closing down weak weed stores. Basically, CBD flowers, what they're selling. Matteo Salvini, he said, quote, I guess it's the Mr. Law and Order Interior Minister, it is neither possible nor acceptable that in Italy there are 1,000 shops where there are drugs legally in broad daylight. This is disgusting. Is it? Is it disgusting? CBD flower that doesn't get you high? That's disgusting. This guy's a rather low threshold of disgusting. By all means, waste Italian taxpayer money closing down shops that are selling CBD flower. I don't know. Again, it comes down to the fact that we give other people power over our lives that they don't deserve. Strangers have power over our lives that they have no reason to have. They have nothing to deserve. And here we are. Here we are. Crackdown on CBD flower in Italy. Get that menace off the streets. /story. It's from marijuanamoment.net. I feel drained. Why? It's been 11 minutes. I feel drained by today's show. It's crazy. As promised, banks accepted significantly more marijuana businesses in 2019, according to federal data. At the end of the last quarter of 2018, there were 438 banks and 113 credit unions actively servicing cannabis businesses. By March of 2019, the 438 banks had become 493, and 113 credit unions rose to 140 credit unions, which is a pretty good. I mean, there's really nothing to compare it to, so to say it's a decent increase is an increase. That's what you can say about it. And obviously that's a good thing. As I said before, this, more than maybe any other thing, is going to help facilitate the equal opportunity of getting into the cannabis business, because people who don't have money, they have to go get money. Obviously, to start up a business, it's never going to be cheap to start a business. No matter what low barriers you have to entering into the market, it's not going to be cheap. You got to have a place, you got to have inventory, you got to have all of these things that make people want to come buy something from you, to give up their hard-earned money to get the product that you're selling. So it's never going to be cheap. So people are going to have to go somewhere to get money. Banks, credit unions, small business loans, things of this nature will help poor people, people lower income, people with lower investing capital to get into the business, which is great. More competition, more supply, facilitates all the things I talked about earlier. High quality, variety, low prices. Please, please, please come into the industry. If you need a bank loan, well, hopefully they'll get around to amending or fixing federal law one of these days. There's rumblings that things are moving through the House and that things are going to get going this summer. Obviously, the August recess is coming up. So I don't know. Whoops. Don't do that. There we go. So I don't know how that's going to shake out. But as I pointed out, as obvious, federal law has to be changed before a lot of these things can be addressed. And hopefully at least they're doing that in the House as we speak. But banking, of course, is a huge, huge part of that. Not only because, you got to have somewhere to put the money if you're in business. You got to have somewhere to get the money if you want to get into business. And obviously most people do that through banks and credit unions. Thanks everybody for checking out the show today. Another episode of Cannabis News. We're here 5 days a week. Thank you to Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thank you all for watching, listening, sharing, commenting, liking, spreading the truth about cannabis with this show. And we'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.